Freilich and Shushan Purim. Hope everybody's Purim was Freilich, full of life, and a wonderful Shushan Purim. Baruch atah Adonai l'chelam shakum nibarei.
Amen.
Okay, so we're gonna do a mimer that was said, Parshas Vayikra, 1972. It came out on Gimel Nisan, actually. This year's a leap year, so different setup. Based on the parsha of last week, Vayikra el Moshe, and Hashem called to Moshe at the name of the parsha, the name of the book, right? The third book, Leviticus, or better known as Vayikra. And he called to Moshe. Who called to Moshe? God. Yidaber Hashem el Yelav, and Hashem spoke to him Oyel Moed from the Oyel Moed from the tent of meeting. Adam, a person, Ki Yachriv, they want to get close. They want to get close, Mikem, from you is the closeness. Tzarich lahavin, you need to understand that every time that God speaks, the word dibur and amira, vayidaber, vayomer, and any time that it's prefaced with the word kriya that he called, it's a lashon chiba. It's an expression of love, an endearment. So why is this expression of endearment here by the parsha of karbonas, of sacrifices specifically? Why? So simply we could understand that Vayikra, being the portion that speaks about sacrifices, there's other portions that speak about sacrifices, but it's in its entirety. I'm trying to think. I don't think that there's anything else, right, in the entire parsha of Vayikra than different sacrifices. Tzav and Shmini has other things that it speaks about, although it primarily speaks about it. But this is the parsha, right? Again, it was what we read on Shabbos. So, in any case, because the beginning of God speaking is from the Oyel Moed, from the tent of meeting. In other words, at the beginning it says that God is speaking from the Oyel Moed, from the tent of meeting. So, in other words, the way I understand this, in other words, it's coming from it's specifying the place. The place is a holy place, right? Oyel Moed means in the holies, right? Where the candelabra, the menorah is, where the table, the shulchan, where the mizbech hazav, the golden altar. So it's specifying the holy place. So therefore, there's something, it's a holy condition. Therefore, it specifies this expression of endearment of love. But Rebbe says, but this itself we need to understand. And that seems to be the Ramban, Nachmanides' explanation. But this itself we need to explain. Why is God speaking from the Oyel Moed specifically when it comes to this parsha? Now, to be quite frank, as I mentioned, I just chose this mimer. I didn't look at it yet. So I'm looking at it together with you. And I'm not I'm not exactly clear the Ramban's explanation because all of the speaking of God came through the Oyhom Mayed. I think it's because the verse specifically states it. So that's the way I understand. In any case, um, so that itself, so all we're doing is pushing off the question, just, so to speak, one generation back, if you will, one point back. So why was the beginning of God's speech mentioning specifically that it's from a holy place? Specifically, when it comes to the Parsha of Karbonas, it's not necessarily all the time. Does it say that? Although it does say it. I mean, it's not the only time. It's not unusual. So, anyways, Yesh Laimar. So we could say that the Sefer Vayikra, the whole book of Vayikra, the third book of Leviticus, which is called Sefer Karbonis, the book of sacrifices of offerings, it is the most chomer shebisfarim, meaning it's the most intense, the most heavy, if you will, stringent of all the books. And that's based on Tosfos explanation in the Talmud. Um, and this also is why it's the third book of the five books of Moses. Because the third, there's a specific virtue, as the virtue of Torah is that it is three lights, because you have Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim, right? The 24 books that are canonized are into the Tanakh. And this expression is more so, the virtue of Torah is in the third book, which is the book of sacrifices. In other words, it's expressed. This idea of, the exaltedness, profundity of Torah is more expressed in sacrifices than anywhere, than any other manner. And that's why for this, God expressing himself to Moshe is prefaced with a term of endearment, right, Vayikra, that he called, specifically when it comes to Karbonas. Because even the virtue of Torah itself, where is it mainly expressed? Is in the specifications of the laws of Karbonas, of sacrifices, which is intriguing, right? And in the specifics of it. And we can explain this. So obviously, this is what this mimer is going to explain, which of course then gives us an explanation not just of the Parsha of Vayikra, but the whole book of Vayikra. So we can explain this according to the Rebbe Rashab, who his day of passing was the second day of Nisan, which is in about it's in 2 weeks. When this mimer was said, it was the day before, because this mimer was said on Gimel Nisan, on the 3rd of Nisan. He passed away on the 2nd of Nisan in 1920. Which on his discourse, Adam ki yakriv, when a person, he will offer. And the question is asked, and this is actually a question that is, I wonder where the original question is asked. If you, in understanding the Hebrew language, it is not said properly. I mean, I don't know if that's the right term to say properly, but I mean, because of course it is proper, the fact it is said this way, but it seems out of a person when he wants to get close from you. Should have said a person from you, right? Meaning from the Jewish people. a person from the Jewish people when they want to get close, when they want to bring an offering, right? It shouldn't say a person when he wants to get close from you, right? Meaning from you, meaning from the Jewish people. It's not written seemingly in the appropriate conjugation of the verse. Oh, and actually, sorry, that's the Alter Rebbe's question, and the Rebbe Rashab's question is a bit different. Kisakrivu, says when you will, when it is in the plural, when you will offer, right? Not you have to say who. Who you? Like why was the first have to say who? I mean, we're not talking about trees. We're not talking about animals. They're not coming. They're not offering. The only person can offer is a person. So you have to say person. Why do you have to say Adam? Why do you say Mikem? Yisakrivu. When you want to come close, when you want to offer. That's what it should have said. Hmm. Interesting. That's not the question we usually ask, right? I just I mentioned the question, not the Rebbe Rishab's question first, right? Because it was the Alter Rebbe's question that is very well known, but that's not. So you don't have to mention who. So he brings in his mimer that it brings in the Zohar Zakoin Inun Israel the Kutchabricho Karaloin Odom Ki Yakri Mikem. So the Jewish people are merited that God calls them Adam. Specifically, a Jew is called Adam. Adam ki yakriv mikem. So a Jew has this virtue of being called by God Adam when he brings an offering. And why? What's the reason that the Jew is called Adam? Because because you cleave to Hashem your God. Okay, so what's the cleaving? How does cleaving got to do with Adam? Rabbi B. Huh? I'm not clear what he says. You're called Adam, right? The Jewish people have the merit that Hashem calls them Adam because we cleave to Hashem. Because we cleave to Hashem. I'm not clear on that. Let me because we cleave to Hashem. So the word Adam also means Adameh, similar to above. So we cleave to above, maybe, but it doesn't say that. Also is unique about Adam is that the Jewish people are called Adam because there's no plural to the word. Adam is like Adam, right? And the word Adam. There's no plural to the word Adam. No Adamim. So why? Because there's a unique oneness of the Jewish people that's not found in any other people. And that's because of the cleaving, we can say. So according to this, Adam, when he wants to get close, specifically Adam, the power that the Jew has to bring an offering is because they're the aspect of Adam because they are cleaving to Hashem. And similarly, it's brought down in the Medrash that Hashem commanded the Jewish people to bring offerings because they cleave to Hashem. And the Midrash speaks about this cleaving in a manner that we become completely consumed and one with Hashem. Right, and that's the uniqueness of the Jewish people cleaving to Hashem. Cleaving, in other words, because there's a unique oneness. And just like Adam is not plural, right? There's no plural, so there's no plurality in that cleaving, in that oneness. That's the idea. Okay, now we're going to stop. To be continued. Have to. All right. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Rabbi.